Hey guys, so I wanted to go over the first part of the second assignment that we had for music theory. I will create another video going over the second part here in just a few minutes, but I wanted to go over this part first because it's kind of a whole different subject. Obviously it's still music theory, but it's just a little different than what we've been doing so far. So the first thing that you typically want to do is determine what your chord is. Whenever he asks you to write out the chords, giving you just the key signature, the scale degree, and the figured bass notes. So you want to include all of the notes of that chord somewhere on a piece of scrap paper. Usually I'll do it. You can either write it out or you can write it on a staff or whatever. This is my scrap staff down here at the bottom. And of course I'm not using his original assignment paper because my handwriting majorly sucks and you would not be able to read it, so this is why I'm doing this on the computer, but obviously you can write it out if you would like. So that being said, let's do number one. So we're going to determine the 5 scale degree chord of a D flat major scale. Obviously you all know your intervals, so your 5th scale degree of a D flat major scale is going to be A flat, and obviously this is going to be a 7 chord because the figured bass tells us that it's some sort of 7th chord inversion. So we go ahead and write out, oops, sorry, let me erase all this here. Okay, so we go ahead and write out our chord here on the spare staff. And this is just so that we know that we've got all of the chords that we need. So I'm going to write them as though we're writing in treble clef. So you have an A flat. Let me do this the right way the first time. We have an A flat. We have a C natural. We have an E flat, and we have a G flat. And don't forget that you need to include all flats or sharps that are included in the key signature of the scale that you are basing this off of. So of course this is the D flat major. So now you've got all of the notes that are in your chord. You want to determine which inversion the chord is. You can basically determine that out of this little section. We can see here that this is a 6/5, which means it's the first inversion of a 7th chord, which basically tells you that the bass note of that chord is going to be the 3rd. So we can see here that of our 7th chord, our 3rd is going to be a C. So let's go ahead and place that C, and I'm actually going to move it down an octave because we want to make sure that we have room for everything else. So you've put your 3rd down because your inversion is a 1st inversion. If you had determined that it was a 2nd inversion, then you would go ahead and put down your 5th chord. If you determined that it was a 3rd inversion, then you'd go ahead and put down that 7th chord, etc., etc. Now you want to go ahead and stack the remaining notes on top of that 1st note. So we can see here that we went ahead and put down our C. Now we need to add our A flat, E flat, and G flat. And basically I'm just going to go ahead and add them as close as I can get them above the C. So you've got your E flat, you've got your G flat, and you've got your A flat. So now you can see that you've got a C, E flat, G flat, and A flat, which is still the same as your A flat 7 chord. And to boot, it is now inverted just like the figured bass tells you. So we've stacked our remaining notes. I added my accidentals as we go. If you want to add them after you've put in your notes, feel free. As long as your accidentals are in there, that's all that matters. Keep in mind, if it is a minor key signature, you may need to take the 7th note, which is the leading tone, and up it a half step via, the sharp, by either sharpening it, or if it's a B flat, then turning it into a natural. And the most important thing is making sure that it matches, if he gives you a Roman numeral 5 and it's capital, then you know that it has to be a either major minor chord, dominant chord, or just a major major chord. I'm sorry, y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, And then from there, if the assignment requires that you add the chord of the top, go ahead and add it. He did not require it in this assignment, but we're going to go ahead and add it just for practice. So of course we determined that the chord was an A7 and it was a dominant 7. I don't think he used any other types here, so you don't really have to worry about that right now. And then of course you want to do slash and put whatever the bass note was at the bottom, and we can see that the bass note was a C. So we call that an A flat 7 over C. And there we go. So I'm not going to do the rest of these just because it's pretty much the same exact thing just over and over again. Just follow these exact steps and you should be good to go.